What is up, guys? It's your boy Rick Gakis, and today we are going to be showcasing how you can get high tier loot from the new Desert Perpetual Raid just added into Destiny 2 within the Edge of Fate expansion as fast and easily as possible. And so, let's get started. Now, of course, I acknowledge what is fast and easy for me may not be quite so fast and easy for you. However, I am actually shocked at how consistently I am getting this high tier raid loot compared to pretty much every other activity, because guys, your power level almost doesn't matter for this. If you are 160 power, you're actually at the cap for what I'm going to be showing you. You can start getting tier 4 raid loot at 160 compared to, again, every other activity in the game. It's not even close. Now, yes, it does involve doing a raid, but again, I'm going to showcase some tips that will make this raid actually more rewarding and easier than you may expect. So, the first thing we need to talk about is how to increase the tier of the loot you're getting in the Desert Perpetual Raid. There's actually two different ways that you can combine together to really start getting juicy rewards. So, the first one we're going to cover is the most complex, but also the most important. It's the new raid feats system. So, let me show you some pictures of these feats, some feat pics, if you will. Okay, guys, I'm going to be saying feats like the entire video. It never stops getting weird, okay? So, everyone just settle down, okay? So, as you can see right here, when I go to select the Desert Perpetual Raid, I can click Customize, and when I do, I get a new sub-menu that pops up where I can select my feats. So essentially, this works just like the portal, where you go into an activity, you can customize it, and add additional modifiers to increase the difficulty and therefore increase the quality of your loot. This is the raid-specific version of that. Now, importantly, you can see I can select multiple different feats at the same time, but if you're just starting out, you can only pick one, and that's because you have to beat an entire raid with one feat active to then unlock the ability to put on 2 feats. You have to beat a whole raid with 2 feats active to put on 3 feats, and we continue. However, a massive tip here, guys, you can actually kind of be cheated ahead in this unlock system, because if you have never done any feats before, right, you only have access to 1 feat, then you can get someone who has access to 3, and if you beat that run, you'll instantly have access to put on 4 feats. So you can have people who have access to more start the raid, and then if you beat that raid, it kind of propels you ahead. It skips the natural unlock path. So again, if you can find someone who has more unlocked to kind of at least start the raid, that should be able to help you, unlock enough feats so that you can start really increasing the quality of your gear faster, guys. Alright, so let's go over all 5 feats and talk about which feats are the easiest, guys. So, first of all, you have token limit. This means you can only have 3 total revives in an encounter. Then you have phase limit. You have to 2-phase every boss. Then you have battalions. This will make it so that you'll have more powerful enemies, more yellow bars, and the existing yellow bars sometimes are banes. Then you actually have the challenges one, where you have to do the specific encounter challenge. If you don't, you instant wipe. And then finally, guys, you have Cutthroat Combat, which puts you at a 40 power disadvantage. This is a very unique one because, as you can see, all the other feats have a plus 20 beside them. This means they increase the combatant power level by plus 20, but they don't put you at any sort of disadvantage. So remember, and this is what I talked about earlier in the video, how this is actually insanely easy to get high tier loot if you have a lower power level, because the base raid power level is just 100. So if you put on 1 feat, that's a plus 20, it'll go to just 120. And so with 3 feats that are all plus 20, that's gonna be 160 power. That's it. That's the only limit you need to reach to be at your most effective in this raid, again, even with 3 feats, the cutthroat combat is the one that changes the equation. Not only does it add plus 40 to the combatant power, but it actually does put you at a light level disadvantage. It's the only one that does. All the other ones, you can just, have a higher power level and you can match the power level of the enemies in there. So cutthroat combat is the one you need to avoid first and foremost. Now, as for the easiest ones, when we were farming, we went with token limit. So yeah, 3 revives is a bit rough, but again, with normal difficulty, matching the combatant power level, it's really not too bad. Then you have phase limit. Honestly, every single boss can be 2-phased pretty easily, and so this one was not really a problem. You're kind of going to do this anyways. And then finally, we did go with battalions. This is probably the most difficult one, dealing with those Bane Wyverns, but you can just put on things such as the Mint Retrograde Rocket Pulse Rifle that just deals with these Banes pretty easily, guys, right? Like, that is a challenging one, and I would say that you can absolutely swap this for the challenges one. If you learn the encounter challenges and for each encounter it may be different, you may want to select this over battalions, and those are going to be your 3 easiest ones. And again, it's really a rotation of those. You want to avoid cutthroat combat at all times. And you can also see here, when I'm adding these additional modifiers, these additional feats, you can see in the bottom right corner that the quality of the loot is going up and up and up. So we start here just at a tier 1, and it says importantly, the upgrade chance is none, which means I'm going to get a tier 1 pretty much no matter what. Then, if I put on 1 feat, now it's a tier 1, but the upgrade chance is low. So now I have the possibility to get random tier 2s. Then I put on a second feat. Now we have the upgrade chance being high. So I have a high chance to get a tier 2. And then finally, if I put on a third feat, then it will actually start to give me a guaranteed tier 2. So you'll actually see the engram change, and the upgrade chance is low. So not only have I just changed it to a guaranteed tier 2, but I now have a chance to get a tier 3. This happened to my teammate. You have to do a 3 feat run to unlock the triumph we're going to talk about, and during this run, where it was guaranteed tier 2s, my teammate did get a couple of tier 3s. So already, hey, getting tier 3s from the raid is pretty darn valuable, even if it's just a chance, guys. But that is just the first step in increasing the tiers, because the next step is the triumph. So this is extremely important, as you guys can see right here. You go into your journey. In the titles section, you select the Desert Perpetual, and in here, you have a triumph called Combined Mastery. So the first thing you will need to do is defeat each boss 5 times, and then you will need the feature presentation. And now what that is, and it says in the description, is a run of the Desert Perpetual Raid with at least 3 feats active to permanently raise the tier. So you can see the rewards, the Desert Perpetual Gear tier upgrade +1. This means every single thing you get now is permanently +1 tier. So it means that you will never get a tier 1 raid drop again, even if you're playing with 0 feats. You completely ignore that system. This is an extremely valuable triumph. Now, yes, doing the raid 5 times total, it absolutely is a doozy, right? Don't get me wrong, but it is going to count while you're also increasing your feats. Like for your first run with 1 feat, that's a whole run through. 2 feats, that's another run through. 3 feats, like you're gonna get that done, and you're already gonna be at 3 out of 5 just by doing that. And also, if you want to avoid some of the traversal sections, you can get a checkpoint at the boss. Just do it like 5 times in a row if you want, or 3 times in a row, and then do the feats after. Now, if you're thinking, oh my goodness, that's so many raid boss kills, well, I have a tip for you. This Outbreak Perfected Exotic Pulse Rifle can easily 2-phase literally every single raid boss. I mean, honestly, it's not the best for the Wyvern boss. The Legend of Acreus is a lot better, but seriously, just use the Outbreak Perfected combined with 200 super and something like the Celestial Nighthawk, or a Titan with the Cuirass, or even, hey, a Warlock with Nova Bomb. You're gonna need a Well Warlock or two, obviously, but like that primary, Infinite Ammo primary, can easily topple any of these raid bosses, and you're gonna see that in the background gameplay. And that's because, first of all, it does a lot of damage, but also the nanites cause so many instances of damage that it makes your super rocket up, so you'll get like so many Celestial Nighthawks in a single damage phase. And so that means you're heavy, you're special, you can literally just use those for ad clearing, for taking down the more powerful enemies. You can expend your entire heavy machine gun before you get to boss, and you're still gonna be fine. So that makes it a lot easier. Again, it is a grind, but remember, this raid is infinitely farmable. There is no more weekly lockouts. So you can just use your favorite character, your best build all 5 times in a row, and you will be getting loot every single time. The only reason to switch characters is actually just for the chance at the raid exotic. That's it. Again, you can literally sit in one encounter 5 times in a row and just farm it. You're gonna get raid loot every single time. Again, I wouldn't actually advise that because you need to do the feat run, so maybe 4 times in a row, then a 3 feat run, but still, like that's actually pretty important that you don't have to be switching characters. If you are farming these for this triumph, you're gonna be getting loot along the way. But with all that being said, what do these things look like combined? So this is after we unlocked that triumph. Now, taking a look at the feat system, with 0 selected, I am guaranteed a tier 2, again with no chance to upgrade. Then, with 1 feat, it goes to a tier 2 with a low chance to upgrade. Then, with 2 feats, it is now a tier 2 with a high chance to get a tier 3. And then, I think like the golden number is 3 feats, because this gives you guaranteed tier 3 drops with a low chance to get a tier 4. And again, I think this is by far the most optimal for farming, because first of all, as you can see, if I put on 4 feats, it doesn't change the quality of the loot at all. So why would you ever do 4 feats unless you're just trying to unlock 5 feats? But also, tier 3s are legit. Take a look at some of these tier 3 armor drops, like they're high 60 stat armor drops, and I still have plus 15 stats in terms of masterworking. Like, this is where you are not sad about getting armor. Like, they're pretty spiky, they're pretty high stats, and weapons too. As you can see right here, tier 3 weapons come with 2 different perks, all fully enhanced. So again, these are extremely high quality, high tier drops, guaranteed. Like, this is the worst things you can get. And then you have the chance to get a tier 4. And when it rains, it pours. Because very importantly, the end vendor of the raid is actually going to be affected by the drops you get previously. And there's some very interesting things you can do with this raid vendor. So as you can see right here, guys, if you have done a full run with 3 feats, you actually have access to buy a high tier piece of loot. Now, I say 3 feats because that's what I just did, but technically, if you do a run with any number of feats active, you'll be able to buy a high tier loot kind of based on how many of the feats you had active. Now, it's only 1 piece of high tier loot, but importantly, it just lets you buy another one of anything you acquired, which means my teammate who got this tier 4 crossbow, so that was the like low chance to upgrade, super lucky, got a tier 4. He can actually buy another tier 4 crossbow just for farming that 3 feat run. So again, like, that makes this actually really juicy. It's not just luck anymore, because if you do get a tier 4, you are guaranteed the ability to purchase it at the vendor. Now, when you do, the ability to purchase a high tier piece of loot will disappear. As you can see, it goes away, but then you can re-unlock it by running another full raid run with feats active. So if you just farm another one, again, which you can do on the same character, you have the chance to buy another piece of high tier loot. So a tier 3 if you didn't luck out, and if you did get a tier 4, you can buy another tier 4. But here's where this actually does get really juicy, guys. The secret chests are impacted by these tier increases. So as you can see right here, you get guaranteed tier 3s with a chance for a tier 4 for the secret chests, guys. And so this opens up some really interesting possibilities. If you are having trouble with 3 feats, let's say instead of battalions, you're using the challenge one, right? There's maybe going to be one encounter that you find super easy. Oh, this challenge is no problem. For our team, we can do it no problem. That means you can just get a checkpoint at that encounter, right? Beat the encounter with 3 feats. Then you simply get the guaranteed tier 3, possible tier 4 loot, go get the chest in the nearest traversal section, and then just reload on the checkpoint, because I've heard that the chests are farmable. So you can just beat that encounter again, whatever the easiest encounter you want to do is, go get the chest, beat the encounter, go get the chest. Like, you can just do that farming loop over and over again until you get a tier 4. And so guys, there you have it. Again, for me, I am super surprised I can consistently farm tier 3s now with a good chance for a tier 4, and then I can get another one if I do luck out, compared to you would have to do an insane portal power level slog to get up to the 300s or higher to start getting consistent chances at tier 4s pretty much anywhere else, right? Aside from the weekly missions. So again, if you can do this feat system, if you can get that triumph, combine those two, dang, you're actually getting some pretty high quality raid rewards. Let's not forget, they're also raid rewards. The armor set and especially the 4-piece bonus and the weapons are some of the best in the game. Definitely worth doing if you can. Guys, that is it for the video. Hope you enjoyed and found this informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That is linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.